Welcome to Amplifyre's interview series. My name is Kristian, and joining me today is a software engineer manager at BNI Soft, Tufan Türkaslan. Tufan, welcome to the series, my friend. How are you?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. Thanks. Thanks for having me.
Now, today we're talking about responsibilities in serverless architecture and what the responsibilities of a serverless developer are compared to a more traditional software developer. Tufan, perhaps you can start with discussing infrastructure.
Yeah, it would be a great way to start. Actually, the infrastructure is basically on the cloud side, it would be, or the serverless side, it would be more like uh, maintained and all the things that will be abstracted from the developer. That maintenance will be done by the cloud provider. So everything that is related to setting up the servers, or for instance, configuring it or maintaining it will be done by the cloud provider. And the developers will be more focusing on the implementation of their code. Well, for that, the implementation would be a bit different than the traditional application development. So, for instance, the developers should be focusing on writing a code that will be triggered by different events or triggers instead of just writing one monolithic application. The packaging of that software, the deployment of that software would be a bit different than a traditional application as well, because you will be using a lot of services of the cloud provider. You will be deploying your code to those services as well. The setting up the necessary resources, for instance, the dependencies, the other code that you are running on the serverless or cloud in general, would be another thing that you should be considering while you are implementing your code. And I think one of the most challenging things would be on the debugging side of your code on the cloud, where it would be much different than a more traditional application where you already have the bunch of your code on the cloud, on the serverless, and you should be able to effectively debug your code, monitor your code if there are any changes, if there are any problems on your code. You should be able to just focus on those. You should be focusing on those based on the things that you are implementing on the cloud. So overall, I can say that on the infrastructure side, you will be more focusing on your code that is running on the serverless, which will be triggered by a bunch of events or a bunch of different services. And you should be also focusing on the cloud providers' servers in general.
So, what are the benefits of using CI/CD pipeline in a software development project?
Well, CI/CD in general means automated process of building the application and deploying it to the servers, or in this case, the cloud environment for serverless architecture. It would actually benefit you in a lot of different ways. First thing would be faster delivery of software. So if you have a CI/CD that you have, which is already working for you, that you would be able to just simply have all the changes that you do on your side. It will be impacting the deployment, so the delivery will be much faster, and you will be having all new features immediately based on the CI/CD that you create. The other thing would be the improvement of the quality. So if you have like automated tests on your pipeline, or you have different environments that you do the deployments for testing and do the deployments for the production, all the deployments that will be done on the test environment will be easily tested. Things can be improved fast, and you would be able to just deliver those codes to production way faster. CI/CD also improves the collaboration. So any change that is done by the developers will be put on the test environment directly, and testers would be able to just pick and continue testing without having any sort of like deployment phases that you will be waiting for a lot of hours, that if the changes are there or not. And it will be basically based on those, it will be creating you a greater reliability in the end. For serverless, it would be much important, because those CI/CD pipelines will allow us to just simply change small stuff on the serverless, like functions, any other triggers, events, like any changes that we need to do, we will be able to just do it with the CI/CD. So all the changes will be impacting the production without any problem immediately. So CI/CD is a quite nice thing to have on your projects.
What are some best practices for securing a serverless application, and how can a developer ensure their serverless code and infrastructure are secure?
Well, there are a couple of things that you can do to secure your service application. The first thing would be the IAMs, the identity and the access management, using it to control and manage the access of the serverless resources, and ensuring that only the authorized people, authorized users, can access to those resources, and nobody else. That will be the first step that you should be taking. The second will be encrypting the data, and not only encrypting on the cloud side, but also on the transit as well. So using secure protocols like TLS and those kind of things would be the first step on the REST or the transit side, and also on the encryption of the data on the cloud side as well, like passwords and pins or that kind of things should be stored on the cloud as encrypted. Implementing the least privilege, which means granting the minimum level of access to granting the minimum level of access necessary to perform a task, meaning that if you want to have like a access to one of the resources, you should only be getting that and nothing more, so that we would be able to just see that all who are actually having access to which resource and how they are using it. The very important thing will be monitoring and monitoring the logs, auditing the logs, because you will be having a lot of people doing something on the cloud, not only on the user side, but also on the developer side. So making sure that who is using which resource, who is doing what on those, and having those having levels of the monitoring logs and auditing them, so that you would be having much secure application. And basically like the secure development process in general, where you are having your code somewhere safe, deploying them only using the given like pipelines and those kind of things would be one of the things that I can consider, not only on the serverless but also in general development.
Lastly, if people are interested in learning more about what you guys do there at BNI Soft, where should they go?
Yeah, I think directly go to our website, bnisoft.nl, where you can find all the information about what we are doing, about our team, our practices. For instance, we have our handbook online as well. You can find it there, about how we are working in general. And all the socials will be there as well, like the LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, and that kind of things also can be found on our website.
Brilliant. So go check them out. Links will be in the description of this video as well. Tufan, I just want to say thanks so much for joining us today. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on.
Yeah, thanks for having me again.